Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from a group. We want to share with all of you guys about relative words in integrated and supplementary relative clauses. The first material is about integrated relative clause. In an integrated relative clause in which the relative pronoun is the subject of the clause, the relative pronoun must be used. An integrated relative clause can be introduced by both that and which. For example, this is the house. It has correct grammatical and meaning. But if we want to relate to it is built, we have to add the words that check built, so it can be called an integrated relative clause. The next material is supplementary relative clause. In a supplementary relative clause, the relative pronoun is always present, whether it is the subject or the object of the relative clause. For example, Jack, whom my sister married 3 years ago, built that house. The clause whom my sister married 3 years ago is a supplementary. It happens in the middle between relative clause and comma. Next material about gender, personal versus non-personal. We must know the gender. Gender is associated with sexual identity, but in grammatical term, it has a broader sense. In grammatical term, gender can be divided into two kinds. First is primary gender system, second is secondary gender system. Primary gender system already discussed at chapter 5. It is only for the third person singular personal pronouns is indeed based on the sex. But the secondary gender system is based on the contrast between personal and non-personal pronouns and applies into interrogative and relative pronouns. There are also the words of interrogative and relative pronouns. Who, used for human referent, whom, used for human referent, whose, used for personal, which for non-human referent, the non-human and human referent. If we look for the personal example, for interrogative and relative, the pronoun is not changed because the object is clearly understand it is human, so it uses who pronoun. And for non-personal example, the pronoun is changing between interrogative and relative because the object is not clearly understand it is human or what, so it uses which pronoun and what.
We go to the next material, nominative versus accusative. Who is variable lexeme? Variable lexeme is thus a word-size lexical item considered in abstraction from grammatical properties that vary depending on the syntactic construction in which it appears. In addition, the nominative has form who, the genitive has form whose, and the accusative has form whom. Let's look the differences between nominative and accusative. Look the first example. People understand exactly who is in charge, who is making the decision, who is accountable. Who in this context relate to the subject, people, so who is called as nominative. The next example. She knew very little about the man with whom she had promised to spend the summer. Whom, in this example, relate to the man, or we called fronted preposition because the men are marked by about. So, whom is called as accusative. So the differences between nominative and accusative is the function. The nominative is required in subject or predicative complement, while the accusative is normally used as complement of fronted preposition. Looks the difference between nominative and accusative. Look the examples. The applicants who we interviewed and the applicants whom we interviewed. The first example use who. The second example use whom. All of these examples are right, but the first example use informal style and the second one use formal style.
That's all for our material. Thank you.